Matthew chapter 5, the Sermon on the Mount. You know, in this sermon, it's hard for me to estimate. Did Matthew give us a word for word on this sermon? I mean, is this a transcription of exactly how Jesus presented? I don't know. I do have this confidence that Matthew captured the essence, the significant thoughts of what Jesus said. He sure didn't try to dress anything up. I mean, there's no transitions. It's just one pretty hard point followed by another hard point by another. Boom, boom, boom. We've looked, well, I've looked at the sermon here. We most recently talked about Jesus' words on adultery, hard words, actually. His words on divorce, hard words for a lot of people. One of the aspects of what Jesus said about divorce has a thread that goes back to the last book that we have of the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament. In the book of Malachi, Malachi writes, God hates divorce. If divorce has affected your life, you know there's a reason why God hates divorce. It's a destructive force. Now, does Jesus say divorce is not an option? No. He gives one reason why a divorce could be decreed, could be certified, and that's marital unfaithfulness. But I've worked with families who have been blown apart by divorce. Kids whose lives will be forever affected, mainly negatively, by the divorce. And it's not like only horrible people get divorced. No, but I will have to say, I don't know anyone who divorced or was divorced who the process didn't wound deeply and whose family was not hurt by it. That's just me. Then he goes on and he talks about something that we probably, it's not that much of a big deal in our culture, in our day, but was a tremendously important issue in his day. It's about oaths. We're in verse 33. Again, you've heard it, that it was said, there's that phrase, to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but keep the oath you have made to the Lord. Now, in ancient times, an oath was a binding contract, especially an oath made to the Lord. I hardly ever hear of or know of anybody who's made that a binding oath to the Lord. I think our culture is, oath has come to mean, well, it's, pretty strong. That's a pretty strong promise. Well, that's not what it was in Jesus' day. An oath was binding. And the law, this didn't come from the 10 Commandments, like the do not commit adultery and do not murder, but this comes in the body of the law, the broader codification of the law, where if you make an oath, You can't break it. Do not break an oath. Well, a couple of quick things on that. You, in ancient times, in Jesus' day and Moses' day, it was not advisable to make an oath lightly. This was not something you did just to look, strong and committed. And no, I mean, it was binding. So, in verse 34, but I tell you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. The practice was, if you wanted to make your oath even more powerful and dramatic, then you would swear on various things. I swear by heaven. Well, I mean, that would probably have been actually the highest of appeals. At other times, they would swear on, Jesus even talks about this later, when speaking directly to the Pharisees, where they would swear on the gold of the temple. Well, and he said, I mean, the only reason the gold has any value is because it's part of the temple. It's the temple that matters. Well, there was all kinds of misapplication and probably misunderstanding of the idea of an oath. And Jesus said, here's the thing. Be of such strength of integrity and consistent living that when you say yes, that's enough. People will know if he said yes, he will do it. And if you say no, then no is enough. It's interesting to me that the word translated here is don't swear. I think our culture has, I don't even know where the origin of a cuss word being a swear word. I don't know. I do know that has nothing to do with what Jesus was talking about when he talked about swearing. Cussing is bad. Don't do it. But it's not this. Now, there are some who take a very literal approach to this. And if they were brought into a court as a witness, you're, even today, with the mores and morals so fluid and so loose, you're still, you don't swear by God anymore, but you swear solemnly to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. In the old days, there was the tagline of "So help you God." Well, that's been dropped, but there was still the swear. I swear, I solemnly swear. Well, sometimes there are people who they won't, because didn't Jesus say don't swear by anything, don't swear at all? Well, I think that misses a strong part of the point Jesus was making. Your life should be conducted in such a way that your yes means yes and your no means no, so that whatever testimony I would bring, it is absolutely verifiable truth, and the consistency of my life is what verifies it. Okay, let's go to the bottom line. be honest. Live consistently honest. Okay. Then he goes on and talks about an idea that is found in the Old Testament law, and this is not the only place that this concept is found. It's found in other literature outside of Jewish literature. But in verse 38, he says, "You have heard that it was said," there's that phrase, "eye for eye and tooth for tooth." In other words, and it was made specific in the law, if someone breaks someone's arm, their arm is to be broken in the same way. If an eye is gouged out, the gouger's eye was to be gouged out. Eye for eye and tooth for tooth. We probably don't value. That's not, well, yeah, I'd say culturally, we don't give much thought to teeth until we've got a toothache. But there, in ancient times, man, if you lost your teeth, that was a big, big deal. Today, you can go get implants, you've got corrective dental surgery, you have options. But there were no options in ancient times. When it was gone, it was gone. And to have a tooth knocked out by someone, that their tooth was knocked out. I mean, it was tit for tat. That's what it was. And it served justice. This was absolute justice. They did that to them, that will be done to them. It served as a strong deterrent. I want to be careful because I don't want to lose my temper and do something to someone, because the law would be that I would get that right back to myself. I don't want that. Well, but Jesus says, I tell you, this verse 39, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. Now that, I don't like that. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Now wait a minute. Is he talking literal striking? Well, in some cases, maybe. You know, I still remember when I was a kid watching a Robin Hood movie, and Friar Tuck was in battle, and but he wouldn't begin asserting himself in battle until he had been struck once and struck twice, and then he would say, "I fulfilled the law," and then he came out after him. Right, I've turned my cheek, and now I can come after you. I don't know that that's not in the spirit of what Jesus was saying. So let's think about, what was the spirit? Well, just learn to cope with the fact that if you're going to follow Jesus, you're going to have to be a victim. I don't like that idea. I'm not even sure that this is what Jesus meant. But in the less than 50 seconds I've got left, I'll never be able to unpack any more than I already have. So I'm going to shut it down, and we'll come back to this next time on Soul Care with Stevie.